What is up, Iwu crew? Have you ever thought about what it would take to disappear? To really disappear? To leave all of your friends and family members behind? To never talk to them again or see them again? You would need a plan. You would need money, a lot of money. You would probably need help. 16-year-old Mekayla Bali had none of these things. But in the spring of 2016, she disappeared from her small town in Saskatchewan, Canada, after a string of events that seemed to indicate that she was planning to leave. But where would a 16-year-old go? That is a question Mekayla's parents are still asking themselves. Memory is a funny thing. What otherwise would have been a normal day is etched into the minds of Mekayla's family. They've studied the events of April 16th, 2016 over and over, trying to find meaning in what their daughter did that day. On April 16th, 2016, Mekayla got up and ready for school. Her father recalls that they got ready for the day together, as they often did. Nothing seemed abnormal. But early that morning, she had texted one of her friends, asking for a ride to a local bank. Her friend, Oksana, later reported that Mekayla told her she had $5,000 in the bank that she wanted to withdraw. But Oksana was already on her way to school and didn't want to be late, so she told Mekayla she couldn't take her to the bank. Investigators would later confirm through bank statements that Mekayla's actual balance was nowhere near $5,000. By 8:20 a.m., Mekayla's grandmother dropped her off at school. There is CCTV footage of her entering Sacred Heart High School and heading towards her locker, where she stood for about 6 minutes before leaving the school from its back door. Cell phone tower data was also very useful in this case, allowing police to pinpoint who Mekayla was texting and when. But because this information doesn't include the actual content of the text message, police had to track down the recipients and senders of those texts to find out what was actually said that day. But even though these texts could be traced, Mekayla, whether intentionally or not, had made her calls from social media apps, meaning the police could see her talking on the phone in the security footage. But there was no way for them to track down those calls. Around this time, as she left the school grounds, she received a text message from her ex-boyfriend, asking why she wasn't in school. Her response was that she was on the other side of town. Much of what we know about Mekayla's movements on April 16th is due to Saskatchewan's widespread use of security cameras. They show us that after walking out of the back of the school, she got on the phone. She's caught on a camera outside of a convenience store and following the train tracks as she talks on the phone. It's impossible to tell if she placed or received the call from the footage, but we know that she was on the phone when she got to the bank at 8:55 a.m. The teller opened his shutters to find a teenager standing there. As soon as the teller saw her, she ended the phone call and stepped forward to ask him to withdraw $55 out of her account. By 9 a.m., she had left the bank and was caught on camera entering a pawn shop. Like the teller, the pawn shop owner was slightly surprised to see a teenager, especially this early in the day. And when she offered him a silver ring, asking how much she would give her for it, he declined to buy it. Later, he told the police, "Silver value's really low, so it just wasn't enough value in the ring to even bother making an offer on it. She was quiet and didn't seem to be in distress or anything." After she left the pawn shop, Mekayla was on the move again. By 9:15 a.m., she was seated at a table of a combined Tim Hortons and Wendy's, buying only a drink. One of the restaurant's cameras later showed that she did not look particularly distressed, but did have periods where she began to fidget. Over the next 13 minutes, she fiddled with the large backpack sitting on the seat beside her. She watched the entrance of the restaurant between getting on and off her phone, possibly sending texts or playing a game. At one point, she actually took her phone apart, popping off the back and taking out the battery. Then she snapped everything back together and continued fiddling with it. At 9:23 a.m., she got up and walked out of the restaurant. She disappeared from the footage for a moment before reappearing through a different door. But she didn't sit down again. She walked through once, scanned the restaurant, and left once again. Her next appearance on a camera revealed her walking back and forth in front of a home hardware store. Then she went into the Tim Hortons and Wendy's restaurant for a third time, whose footage shows her on the phone once again. When the police later checked her call logs, there weren't any incoming or outgoing calls at the time. They suspect that she used an app to place the calls. At 9:49 a.m., she was sitting down again, but this time positioned so that she had a better vantage point of the door and front window. When her call was over, she sat and continued to busy herself on the phone. She kept glancing out the window as if she was looking for someone. 14 minutes after returning to the restaurant, she sent one of her friends, Shelby, a text message. All it says is, "Hey, I need help." 20 minutes later, she followed up that message with, "Never mind, I figured it out." Shelby's phone was at home, so she didn't see the messages until later that afternoon. This time, Mekayla stayed at the restaurant for nearly an hour. The entire time she made calls, sent messages, and peered around. Of course, we can only guess what she was thinking and doing, but these are the telltale signs of a girl who thinks she's meeting up with someone, and whoever she is meeting with hasn't shown up yet. At 10:40 a.m., Mekayla got up from her booth and began talking to a woman sitting at one of the neighboring tables. After their conversation, she left and never came back to the restaurant. The woman she talked to later told the police that Mekayla asked her to rent her a hotel room at the nearby Ramada, but that she politely refused. Next, she is seen walking west, crossing a street, and then turning around and walking back the way she originally came. During this movement, she passes the front of that Ramada hotel twice, and then, for over an hour, she disappears from the cameras. No one knows where she was between 10:45 and 11:55 a.m. But we do know that she was alive because just before noon, Mekayla returned to Sacred Heart High School, having sent another text to Shelby at 11:35, which simply read, "I'll see you at lunch." She was only there for a few minutes, but in that time, two of her friends saw her and asked what she was doing. Mekayla said she was about to catch a bus before leaving school once again. She apparently claimed she was going on a vacation to Regina, and in fact, when investigators dug deeper into Mekayla's last conversations with her friends, they found the topic of Regina coming up again and again. Shelby says nobody really took Mekayla seriously when she brought up her fantasies of leaving town. Sure, the two had discussed their hopes for moving to a bigger and better city like Regina one day to escape their small hometown, but Shelby had seen it as no more than wishful thinking. On the day directly preceding her disappearance, Mekayla had brought it up yet again while eating fast food with some close friends, saying she had an upcoming family vacation there. Later that same night, she had texted an ex-boyfriend about feeling sad and yet again wanting to take a short trip to Regina. Whether or not Mekayla's two friends knew something was off, they never could have guessed that this would be the last time they ever spoke with their friend. Mekayla's mysterious return to school was brief and ambiguous. In some of the footage from her visit, it appears that she may have been holding two phones. This is the last time she appears on camera. but not the last time she was seen. Mekayla headed to the bus depot, so it seems like she was telling her friends the truth about catching a bus. At the depot, she asked an employee when the next bus to Regina was, and the employee informed her it would arrive in about 5 hours. Since it appeared to be a long wait, Mekayla went into the depot's restaurant, the Trail Stop. We know that she ordered something to eat and hung around for 45 minutes before leaving. But she did not return to school, home, or even the combined Tim Hortons and Wendy's where she had been sitting. It's at 1 p.m. when she walks out of the UFC bus depot and completely disappears. When Mekayla was not waiting at school to be picked up that afternoon, her family started to get concerned. She was a teenager though, and sometimes teenagers are irresponsible. They go to a friend's house and forget to text their parents or get detention, and the school fails to alert the family. But once it became clear that she wasn't at a friend's house or school, her parents began to panic. They went to the school and began searching for her, all while calling and texting Mekayla's phone. By that evening, when they still couldn't find her, they reported her missing. There was no trace of Mekayla. Her phone was still on, but it either ran out of battery or was turned off the next morning. The police worked quickly, obtaining CCTV footage from the school and then the surrounding businesses once it became clear that she never made it to class. The glimpses of her on different cameras were encouraging. They scanned the videos for any sign that she recognized someone in the restaurant, or of someone following her on the street, or that she even seemed distressed. But they found nothing. When her friends were shown the footage of her sitting in the restaurant, they commented that she never carried a backpack. Mekayla preferred a purse for school. This only made investigators more certain that she had been planning to leave town. But if she'd gotten on a bus, she would have returned to the bus depot. She would have bought a bus ticket. There would have been some shred of evidence to indicate that she had boarded that bus to Regina. Her friends also reluctantly told the investigators that she had been talking to men on Instagram, Snapchat, and Kik. Mekayla had talked about a boy named Christopher who lived in Yorkton and was supposed to be coming to meet her in person. The police tracked him down pretty quickly and searched his home, but there wasn't even a hint that Mekayla had once been there. They chased down a few more leads from her social media activity, but each thread they pulled unraveled. The best they could do was issue a public warning for people not to meet up with strangers they talked to on social media. Because she communicated either through Snapchat or Kik, no one can retrieve the messages and calls that she sent or received that day. Not even her friends have a good guess as to who she was talking to. Even more frightening, there is the possibility that the person she was looking for around town was not the person who made her disappear. Maybe she was planning on meeting someone or simply skipping town. But there is also the possibility that someone grabbed her before she could do either of those things. Her family still hasn't given up hope though. They remember Mekayla as a sweet, smart girl who loved her family and friends. But most teenagers, even those on good terms with their parents, will hide things from them. Mekayla was hiding an extensive online presence. She chatted with people she knew and strangers, some of them anonymous. Police believe it's a possibility, if not a likelihood, that one of these people convinced Mekayla to meet. Did she leave with them willingly? It's impossible to know. It's deeply disturbing to find out that as recently as 2016, people like Mekayla can still go missing without a trace. And even our modern technology isn't always enough to solve these cold cases. A few key details that have arisen over the years continue to spur on new theories as to what really caused Mekayla to vanish that strange day 4 years ago. In February of 2016, Mekayla's theater classmates had been mystified when someone delivered a bouquet to her in the middle of the school day. The flowers themselves weren't that strange. It was Valentine's Day after all. But what intrigued Mekayla's friends was her reluctance to say who they were from. However, there's reason to believe that the anonymous secret admirer may have lived out of town. A professional florist said that the cardboard box the roses were packaged in was indicative of an online order, since local florists would not have used that method. Police have allegedly found the sender and dropped them as a suspect, although they strangely won't reveal that person's identity to the public. Some online theorists have raised the question, did Mekayla send the roses to herself? These days, all sorts of people have been latching on to this case and criticizing the various investigation on various social media apps. A Twitter account representing a behavioral forensics company rebuked a statement from Sergeant Donna Zawislak. She had allegedly said there was no evidence to indicate Bali was feeling like taking her own life when she went missing. This Twitter account went on to list off a series of contradictions to that very claim. Mekayla had emptied her bank account, left town, sold personal possessions, expressed that she felt alone and friendless, and most importantly, asked for help. So the denial that Mekayla may have taken her own life intentionally back in 2016 seems like a dangerous assumption coming from a law enforcement figure. But Zawislak also said that nothing suggests this was a homicide either. So, if Mekayla wasn't murdered, and she didn't take her own life, where could she possibly be? We can only hope that the young girl, who would be about 20 years old now, is alive. Another crucial detail that suggests Mekayla's disappearance wasn't intentional was her mother's cash supply. After searching the school high and low for her daughter, the first thing Mekayla's mom did when she got home was to check the spot where she had stored a huge amount of cash, a location that Mekayla had known about for some time. By her logic, if Mekayla meant to run away or start a new life somewhere, she surely would have taken some of the stashed money to supplement her journey. But not a single cent was missing. There was something else that Mekayla had left behind: her Accutane medication. And this acne treatment plays two big roles in the theories surrounding the case. First, friends and family knew that Mekayla was extremely insecure about her acne and wouldn't have purposely left behind her medication, which she took religiously in a million years. Second, Accutane is known to have negative side effects on users' mental health, and many of Mekayla's loved ones wonder if this could be the cause for her bizarre behavior. Countless acne patients, including famous actress Bella Thorne, have expressed their downward spiral into depression caused by this strong but harsh treatment. Isotretinoin, which is used in Accutane, has been associated with psychiatric disorders, including depression and psychosis in some individuals. Many propose that Accutane had a severe detrimental effect on Mekayla's mental well-being, driving her to act so recklessly and out of character. And then there's the social media theories. The first stems from an Instagram account under Mekayla's name. The page's bio features only one eerie word: goodbye. Mekayla was also active on Snapchat. She had shared her account info in an Instagram post one day, captioning it, "Looking for Snapchat friends because I have none in real life." But interestingly, one of her real-life friends, Shelby, did send her a snap on the exact day she disappeared. And 3 months later, something happened that nobody can explain. Somebody using Mekayla's account opened the message.
I have got Snapchat on my phone. She had Snapchat too. And I've sent her messages through Snapchat, and she's opened them. Don't know if it's her or not.
Excited that this could be a possible lead, Shelby tried again. But this time, she wasn't so lucky. That snap message has never been opened. Law enforcement has received no shortage of questionable tips as to Mekayla's location. No doubt, some sent by people just hoping to claim the $50,000 reward promised to anyone who can provide vital information. Somebody said they saw her on a cruise ship. Another said she was in Scotland. None of these leads ever panned out. Mekayla's mother has considered the horrific possibility of human trafficking, but once again, she and investigators alike are completely in the dark as to the truth. One witness claims to have seen Mekayla when she visited the Trail Stop restaurant at the depot. The woman was interviewed and said only that she observed Mekayla walking with some big guy carrying white bags. She described the large man as best she could, and investigators worked with her to create a sketch of a prominent tattoo she'd observed. The mysterious person of interest had flaunted a cross surrounded by red flames on his left arm. In the end, that lead only led authorities to another dead end, as once the sketch was publicized, a man fitting that description came forward, and it was determined that he had only been opening the door for Mekayla. This case has gained attention from the r/unsolved mysteries community on Reddit. Here's a few theories that have been presented there. Maybe Mekayla was trying to book the hotel room as a private place to end her own life. Perhaps, then the reason she had texted her friend for help was because she knew she was too young to reserve the room by herself, but then got cold feet and sent the nevermind text. It is also possible that Mekayla really did mean to meet up with somebody, and that person had masterminded how to avoid being seen by security cameras when they actually picked up the young girl. All of these theories are just that, mere speculation. But a particularly intriguing detail that has been discussed on the internet is that Mekayla allegedly had a long list of aliases that she used instead of her real name. The validity of these aliases is unknown, but they include Nancy Neeb and Mickey Golf. Whether these were just quirky social media handles or real attempts to shield her identity, we're not sure. Law enforcement have solved cold cases as old as 52 years. With the technological advances we have now in terms of surveillance and DNA analysis, we can only hope that it's only a matter of time before the truth reveals itself. But in the meantime, we cannot forget the tragedy of Mekayla's disappearance. Her best friends tried to leave an empty seat for her at their high school graduation ceremony, but say they were not allowed. It was apparently too crowded. Mekayla was a sweet girl who always went above and beyond to make others happy. She even learned how to play the accordion just so she could perform Happy Birthday for her aunt one year. But she, like many teenage girls her age, kept secrets and dealt with struggles not even her closest friends and family knew about. Above all else, Mekayla's loved ones want to bring her home safe and sound. If you have any knowledge or theories about this case, please share them with us in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. A playlist is going to pop up right now with more videos you'll love. See you guys next time.